Hello, and welcome to today's special online forum program. My name is Sarah Bryant. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at DBA Platform, where our mission is to get more customers through the door at the locations that you serve. Now, you already know that DBA Platform is the premier software and managed service provider for optimizing local presence at scale and winning the most visibility for your locations, whether we're talking about Google, Bing, Apple, all the environments that your customers use in their buying journey. Today, we have a sort of a special focus, which is auto industry, and we're launching a super unique offering that's new to DBA. We call it our Automotive Edition. It's got more problem-solving utility than you could possibly imagine, and by the end of this hour, I think you're going to be sort of overwhelmed with all the things that you can do in the platform now if you're in the automotive industry. Our agenda includes a number of things. We're going to sort of uncover this auto experiment that we've been working on and brief you on this 9 dealership case study that we performed last spring, laying out some verifiable results on our nested listing experiment. We're going to show you a host of new reporting, monitoring, measuring, automating capabilities that are newly built into DBA Platform. And we have some pretty smart inventions that our development team is going to show you and unveil that automatically solve a lot of pain points that you guys have been expressing to our team over the last probably year or two. And then you're going to get an opportunity to join the beta program, an offering in foot traffic, which is around getting more leads through your door. And we're going to demonstrate the power of that today. And as always, we're going to end with everybody's favorite segment, which is the question and answer portion. You'll be able to ask our experts the questions that are on your mind about local search. So in order to facilitate that Q&A, let's get your tools ready. In your Zoom controls, you're going to find that Q&A icon. Now you can launch that thing and keep it open during the webinar. It's going to allow you to submit questions, but importantly, it's also going to let you see the questions that are being submitted by the other attendees. And then you can read those questions, see if they pertain to you, and upvote the ones that you like so that we're sure at the end of our webinar, when we start our Q&A, we can grab the most popular questions first and get to those. Feel free to drop questions into that box throughout the entire webinar, and our panel will be looking to answer those questions for you. There's also a chat icon next to the Q&A button, and that one you're going to use to talk to our webinar administrator, who is Luke, if you have any technical webinar issues or questions. Now, the first question Luke always gets is, are you recording the webinar, and can I get a copy of that? And the answer is yes. There is a recording in progress, and we'll be sending that out to everybody who enrolled for the webinar after the webinar is over. Now, let's introduce our team. We have a bunch of people here today. As you can see, these are our DBA experts. They're going to really dig into this auto vertical and explore new ways of getting incremental lift in your lead generation. So we have Trevor Grace, who is the founder and CEO at DBA Platform. We have Lior Pardo, who is our VP of Product and Development Wizard. Justin Dombro, who is our Senior VP of Advertising Solutions. And Justin comes to us, he's an ex-Googler from the Google Ads team. And of course, you know Jan Gilbert, he's our resident local search expert and Google Diamond product expert. We have River Grace, our VP of Sales. John Colucci, our automotive industry expert. And Ryan Sandberg, our listings operation director, and one of the first humans on the planet to handle inventory in Google. And because of that, we have special nicknames for him. And you may have interacted with Ryan, who's wearing his Liquid Courage hat today. And I'm Sarah Bryant. I'm your session concierge. I'm your fellow knowledge seeker in the quest to understand how to leverage the digital world to bring more customers onto our digital properties easily, automatically, and at scale. So I'm super happy. It's very rare to see Trevor on a webinar with us, but he's here today to put some context around the importance of local search and why we're doing what we're doing to stay ahead of the changing landscape.
Hello,
Trevor,
everybody.
take us.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks you for having me. Thank you, Sarah. It's a fun intro. I'm here today because it's probably one of the most exciting. We just completed one of the most exciting pilot use case studies in the last couple years. Uh, we do lots of studies. Every quarter, we try to do two or three new pilots to see what tactics work, what don't, what's repeatable, what's scalable. And this last quarter, we had the pleasure to work with Andrew Riffey with Dimmitt Automotive Group. And I'm going to introduce Ryan Sandberg and John Colucci here shortly, who can tell you all about that case study. But he's one of the savviest marketers I've ever met. He helped us shape and craft this case study to make sure that we validated our data along the way. We left no stone unturned. And as you guys all know, Google Business Profile accounts for a significant amount of customers through your door across all OEMs from entry level to high-end luxury. And that's what we're talking about today is that low bottom of the funnel customers in the door. So without further ado, I'd like to talk about, before I hand it off, so you guys all know, we did this study over nine different departments, nine different like physical rooftop locations. And what we did is we expanded the departments from your standard sales listing, service, parts, and we said, what if we push the limits? What are all the automotive related industry categories? And what are all the different services that these automotive dealers do? And how can we expand it to the maximum? That was basically the premise. And will it work? What will come out of it? And when I say will it work, will it make the phone ring? Will it create a website click and a visitor? Or will it get a customer in the door? So at this point, I'd love to introduce Ryan Sandberg and John Colucci, who actually did the heavy, heavy lifting. There's a lot of war stories here, guys. They bang their heads. They did all the things wrong that you can imagine. We've documented it, and they did all the things right. So he's here to tell you his experience and share with you everything that he learned. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Trevor. Me and John, the dream team, was absolutely a lot of fun. So yeah, here's a sneak peek on what we did with this pilot and working with our internal team. We first had to find locations that would be suitable and best fit. One of the first steps is getting the baseline insights and their information to make sure that this test would be valid. And with these new department listings, we had to go through the process of creating, verifying, nesting, optimizing. The location being shown here is Village Toyota. And this is after our autopilot. As you can see here in that orange highlighted section, those are where those new departments live. Um, and they had two departments already created and verified and nested. So we identified new departments that would be applicable to them, such as like auto air repair, tire shop, brake shop, oil change, transmission shop. And these were the ones that were accepted from the dealer. So we were able to add five new departments. John, our industry expert, worked very closely with the locations in this pilot and this location specifically. And I'm sure he has a couple things he'd like to touch on as well.
Absolutely. And I think that a lot of times in the automotive sector, we feel like what we're looking at, where it says expanded listings, is encompassing inside of our main Google business profile accounts or the service accounts. But if you look at your clients inside of search and you look up tires for sale near me, brakes for sale near me, most of the time what you're going to find is that you're not going to see dealerships popping up in those areas of search. It's going to be things like Goodyear or Jiffy Lube or Express Oils, all these different types of independent facilities. So what we were looking to do is create the expanded listings in a manner that would allow for us to create incremental business on and above what was already coming in through the main sales listing and the main service listing. And it definitely worked, and we're excited to kind of show you how it worked. But it, to say the least, was a nightmare. We had accounts suspended, we had duplications. A lot of that was user error. I can attest that some of that was my user error. Some of that was Andrew Riffey's user error. and Ryan will get into kind of some of the things on how we navigated back through the waters and came up with a path that makes it where the people that use this moving forward won't have those same pain points that we had. Back to you, Ryan.
Absolutely. Yeah, so here's the fun part. Here's the war part that Trevor mentioned. And so here's basically like what we set out to learn from this pilot and a lot of things we found. When going through this process, there is, hundreds do's and don'ts, from preventing duplicates to verification steps, nesting steps, every step from top to bottom. We carefully created a 32-page instruction book that goes through each step in this process. For instance, one dealer, there was a duplication issue that was avoidable. And Google has a lot of buttons that are available, and one wrong click, you'll break the whole process.
So, hey, Ryan, Tracy
Yeah.
asked a clarifying question. Is adding departments different than adding business categories?
Yes, that is two separate things. These are actually creating new GBP profiles that live in the sales listing. Adding categories is just kind of optimizing that initial one profile. So yeah, it is different.
And I want to add the reason why this is super important and not just adding extra categories where we're creating different listings instead of just adding extra categories, because secondary categories, although they do influence ranking, have a weak influence compared to the primary category. So when we have different department listings, each with their own primary category, very specifically targeting these extra services, that's where we're going to get the lift in visibility.
And Ryan, I get this question all the time too, which would be good to clarify. And that is it okay to do this? Like your one location, I thought we could only have one listing. So how can you make multiple listings at one address, which we've been told over and over you can't do? Can you speak to that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's, Google does allow this for auto dealers, but the one problem with Google is they have a problem communicating that to the people that use Google. Their support and their knowledge, articles are, I'm pretty sure like if you try and click on some of their knowledge articles, it leads you to a broken link. So it is available, and it is within the Google guidelines to do this. It's just Google does not, you know, give their information out in a good manner.
And as you saw, they don't make it easy to go through the process. There's a lot of questions left.
Abs yeah, absolutely. They do make it tricky. And when getting this information to do all this, you do have to work with the dealer. That part can kind of be timely depending on how fast they can get some basic information required. And when it comes to the verification part, there's some key details to make sure that you pass, whether it's the email verification, the phone, the video. We had a couple profiles that were only video, and our industry expert John had to go to some dealers, to video verify them, and he gained some really, good key insights on verifying those departments via video. And email verification step, there was some domain access issues. The dealer has to make sure that the domain's readily available. You got to make sure how do I change that domain that Google's giving me? We found out how to change that. And nesting with Google support, that's an absolute nightmare. I work with Google support all the time. It's an absolute horror movie. I'm sure if anyone else in this webinar has worked with Google support, they can totally relate. And it's also not even a guarantee when you submit to nest with Google. That's not a guarantee. But with nesting with our new integration software at DBA, that process is seamless. You can skip that hassle with Google support, which is just a huge relief off my shoulders. And also one thing I do want to note is with this pilot and the optimization piece, we did not get to complete our 90 days of posting content, but they were able to get optimized and content added to the profile. As you can see in the short amount of time we've been talking, there's a lot of steps, there's a lot of hand holding, there's a lot that can go wrong if you don't follow this cookbook recipe. But the good news is that we did all this testing for the do's and don'ts, so you don't have to. And I'll hand it back over to John because I'm sure he has some knowledge and findings as well with this pilot and all these do's and don'ts.
Yeah, so some of the stuff that we ran into that was somewhat difficult to navigate through is the way that Google is pushing for this new verification, which I'm sure that a lot of people have experienced re-verifications in the last 30 to 60 days. They force you to basically start at the front of the building, get the hours on the door, stick the key in a locked door, show that you're unlocking that door, then open the door, walk inside. And sometimes, in my experiences, I was doing that 7 or 8 times because they just didn't like the video. So now you can imagine what that's like when you have a showroom full of people and you're locking the front door and there's the guy in the front with the weirdo with the camera. Well, it's not the easiest thing in the world. So there's definitely a lot that we learned in those instructions.
I heard, John, that the videos that you did got they Google bounced them because people were narrating through them was one thing they didn't like, but they don't tell you that. They just you go through the whole process and then they say nope, didn't work. Why didn't it work? And and then the other one was you couldn't upload a video that was over 2 minutes. So somehow now it's like the Amazing Race. You have to go to the front, get the hours, unlock the door, lock the door, go through the place, and you have to do the whole thing in 2 minutes. But you didn't know that either.
Yeah.
But we do. We know now. And one of the other things that I think is super important is that, Google doesn't allow this for every industry. So we've been able to uncover the industries that this is allowed in. Google looks at the automotive industry is that it has a business inside of the business. So they sell new cars, but they also do oil changes. That's a business. They also sell tires. That's a business. So that's why this is allowed inside of the automotive vertical. And we were able to see how we can take all these businesses within the business, and as Ryan's talking about, nesting them, which is literally taking its own Google business profile and connecting it into the main Google business account by nesting. It's pretty amazing. And it's, again, as much as we're saying that there was a lot of nightmares, it allowed for us to make it where the playbook will allow you to walk your customers through it with a lot less noise.
Absolutely. And, from the very beginning, we were looking at numbers and the impact of these departments and the results after the 90 days of the pilot. We got some really interesting insights. And I'll hand that over to Sarah and Justin to talk about.
Okay, so I think you get the picture. What was done was for 9 different locations, we added as many department listings as we could. Sometimes 8, sometimes 1. Depending on the type of business that it was. But these 9 locations got 90 days of results in the new listings. So once we were able to get the listings verified, we started the clock ticking to grab the results and see what it looked like. So for context, I'm going to show just one location, Village Toyota, which was kind of an average location in our experiment. And you can see that the driving directions for each month are listed here prior to doing the experiment. And it's fairly consistent. May was 870 driving directions. This was for multiple listings that they already had. So Village Toyota had a sales or main listing plus a service department and a parts department. So they had 3. And so, 870, 848, 921. March is when we actually did our work and got the new departments verified, but we did it in the last 6 days of March. So you can see the result is immediate. We were able to get 30 new driving directions out of the new listings, and we can see that these are the new listings that are where those driving directions are happening. And then our experimental period of April, May, and June, we're able to get over 200 new driving directions on the new departments. And overall, for that 90-day period, that's a 24% lift in driving directions. But one of the things that we wondered about was if we create these new department listings, are we going to cannibalize the driving directions from the existing listings? And I think you can see that the answer is no, we didn't cannibalize them. In fact, maybe there is a synergistic effect of raising the main listing driving directions as well. So these new ones certainly weren't stolen out of the existing listings. This means that we created actually new activity, new search activity with the listings, and got this 24% increase, which totaled 705 new driving directions for that location. If you forecast that out for a year, we could say that that would be 2,820 driving directions that you could forecast from doing this. Now, the cool thing is we didn't just do Village Toyota. We did 9 locations. So in our experiment, we added 23 department listings to 9 dealerships that were in 7 OEMs, and we did 90 days on each of these. And overall, we were able to get a 23% lift in what we're calling driving directions or foot traffic across those 9 dealerships. And there were some interesting things. Like if we had all day to talk about this case study, I could tell you that the luxury brands, we guessed before we did our experiment, but we would have guessed that luxury brands would not have seen as big an increase because, people who have a Bentley probably are already getting their oil changed at Bentley. They're probably not searching for that. But, love to be proven wrong, but luxury brands actually did better. There was no results at any location lower than a 10% lift in any month. Right? So we got at least 10%, and in some cases, 100% increase in driving directions. But when you average it all together, it was 23%. We know that the results are immediate. We know which department listings probably are creating more of a lift than others. There were a lot of really interesting results that came out of munging through the data. But what's cool is the response that we've gotten from the dealerships that we worked with on this, because they were very interested in looking at these numbers from the perspective of, did this yield like actual business? And I know Trevor and John just spent this last week bringing some of these results to some of these users. I don't know, John, if you want to talk about how they felt about the results that they got to parse through.
Absolutely. I mean, some of the things, let's start off with, how, people would play devil's advocate asking, well, how is this really affecting us? What if somebody clicks on driving requests twice? Does it get counted? And, how do you know they really show up? And there was a lot of things like that get popped up. And that's part of the reason why we chose the Dimmitt Automotive Group, not just because they had a full spectrum of entry-level to high-level brands, but also because Andrew Riffey is very detail-oriented. And I think that everybody that's watching this right now can say that they have used Google Maps, Apple Maps, whatever it is to get directions. I'm not sure how many of us get directions to places like a car dealership not to go. So even if you cut them in half, you're still talking about literally just at the one Village Toyota dealership, over 10,000 incremental driving requests in a year. I don't know what their closing percentages are, but even if it was super low and it was 20%, you're still talking about 2,000 new people showing up into the fixed operations department. I don't know what the average RO value is at each dealership that you may be representing, but you can see where I'm going with the math. And inside of the automotive space, there's obviously dealership math, and that's what they're looking at. In fixed operations traffic begets new car and used car sales above and beyond that, even if they were potentially just coming in for fixed operation services. So Andrew had some things to say. I personally feel as though that he felt like it was a success across, entry-level brands all the way up to super luxury, but we'll let him say the rest in this testimonial.
All right, let me cue that up.
Hi, I'm Andrew Riffey, Chief Marketing Technology Officer for the Dimmitt Automotive Group in Tampa Bay, Florida. Over the past few months, we've been piloting some new and exciting technology with DBA, and since the pilot launched, we've seen some impressive growth in our Google Business Profile conversions, specifically maps and directions clicks, as well as phone calls. And that tracks with what we're also seeing with our repair order counts, as well as upticks in fixed ops revenue, and most importantly, gross profit. So meaningful conversions that appear to be trickling to the bottom line. Looking ahead, I'm really excited about what's next, specifically our upcoming launch with DBA inside of Apple's ecosystem. It's been a blind spot for us, frankly. And with Apple's reach, I see a ton of potential for upside and to disrupt the space, particularly against independent repair facilities. So excited about the journey ahead, excited about our partnership with DBA, and looking forward to the future. Have a great day.
And just want to jump in real quick and then I'll back to you, Sarah. But so Andrew's talking about and what he's excited about with Apple Business Connect. Maybe it wasn't so important 6 to 12 months ago about making sure your Apple Business Connect was set up. But as most of us know, Google pays about $20 billion a year to have their search browser be the default browser inside of the iOS devices. But what they changed is that they're no longer defaulting to Google Maps. They're defaulting to Apple Maps. And that's what he's talking about. And that is the next phase of what's coming. And that's what he was referring to. Go ahead, Sarah.
I just want to hit a couple questions that Tommy put in the Q&A because they're relevant to what we're talking about. He asked, as driving directions increased, did you see a decline in phone calls or website visits? And the answer to that is no. And I'd love to actually, Tommy, take you through the raw data and show you what we got. But the answer is no, they did not decrease. We're looking primarily at driving directions because they're sort of more bottom of the funnel. They were more important in terms of conversions and like closer to the like actual purchase conversion. But we got increases in phone calls and website visits, clicks. And then Tommy's other question is, when you add a department like oil change, do you get a separate menu for oil changes, or do you choose the categories from the standard menu? And I don't know who that question would be for.
Ryan, you want to
Yeah,
answer
go
that?
ahead. Yeah, or you can back it up after too. Is like, I mean, when we do create these departments, it is the oil change department, and that is going to get that specific category and be its own GBP. So whatever, separate menu or options are available in that GBP, I mean, they would be available because it is, going to be the oil change GBP. But Trevor, you can go ahead and speak to that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
what's cool about it. I'll just add. Next up is the listings. So I know we're pressed for time. So to add on to what Ryan just said, we built in. We're taking the pain away. You no longer have to contact Google support. You're going to be able to nest listings right inside of DBA platform. And think of this as like your website, as your main listing, as your website. All these other departments as like a main navigation page on a website. That's what this technology essentially does. And what it does, because you create that link on the main listing, that's why we were able to see such immediate growth, because it's powering and giving credit to all those sub profiles from the main listing. So this is just a quick snapshot. You can set up a time. At the end of this, we're going to be starting to onboard and set up meetings with whoever wants to join our beta program first. We're limited to 10 to start, but if we'll start the list after that. And over the next week, starting next week, we're going to hopefully get all 10 of you guys set up. This is a sample of the new foot traffic report. And so what we're doing here, when we set up your account and provision you guys on this product, we'll be able to flag any existing profiles as existing, and any new profiles that we create will be shown up as expanded. This way you can show real incremental lift and value to the dealerships who are subscribing to the service. Like Ryan mentioned earlier, we have 32 pages of do's and don'ts, all very well crafted into the happy path of exactly what you should do in the order that you should do it to avoid all of the mistakes that we uncovered. The one thing I want to say is, don't be afraid to make a mistake, because we made them and we know how to fix them. However, If you follow the happy path, you will avoid almost all of them. We also have this will be available as just a software, which I'll get into. Here's all the basically the features and benefits of the newly rolled out product solution for the Automotive edition and for the nested listing product. According to Andrew, he thinks that the value of this should be priced at $800. That's sort of the slam dunk price. It'll fly under the radar at any of your dealerships for programs that will be cut. He said it's actually probably worth triple this in terms of value. However, if you price it at this price, because of the results that it did, we should over exceed expectations. So I know a lot of agencies on here have a lot of different SEO packages, local SEO packages. So this retail suggested price is something for you guys to consider as you're putting together your packages. If you want us to do all the work, completely white glove, we do it all for you. You just handle the account management. We're doing that for half the price. And if you just want the software, we've bundled. You can see the pricing on the screen. It's $100 if you want to maximize all 8 profiles like we did for Village Toyota. We got some new reports, like Sarah mentioned earlier, that are very specific to the auto edition to help bring transparency and a proactive approach to solving problems before your dealers solve them in the listing space. So I want to pass this over to Lior, who can take you through those.
Thank you very much. Hey, everyone. So here in DBA, our team focuses on one thing, making your life easier while growing your business. Look, we could have built a flashy, looking good type of demos. Instead, we build solution that solves real problems that cost you money every single day and time. These aren't just features, these are profit protectors that pay for themselves. We looked at 100 support tickets, we talked with our top clients, and here is what we found. 5 painful issues you deal with every day. First, are your listings actually correct? You never know, right? Second, who changed your hours last week? No idea, right? Third, why do your car photos keep getting rejected? Those pesky overlays. Fourth, are you paying for ads on cars that already got sold? Probably. And fifth, managing shared inventory, it's chaos. So we spend around 4 months working on these problems, and here is what we built. Our new accuracy reports do more than just sync data. We don't just push your information out there, we check that it is correct. You get full transparency on edits, and now you can see exactly who changed what and when. We build an automated system, you just set your source of truth, and we will handle the rest. So to make it even easier, we created a daily email system. You will get a summary of your listing scores, any issues that need attention, and all the activity from the past 24 hours. So imagine waking up to an email saying, your listings are 94 accurate across all platforms. That's the power of knowing, not guessing. So now let's talk about our new tools. Here is how we solved the image rejection nightmare. So let's talk right now about getting you more of your inventory live. Google rejects inventory with overlays and logos. You lose visibility on cars that you can sell. Manual fixing takes hours to finish, to find and fix all the rejections, and kills your productivity for sure. So our smart image optimizers use AI to find rejected images automatically and to remove the overlay while keeping the image quality high, and then resubmit them right away to Google. The result, More inventory is going live, and that means more sales opportunities. We clean photos automatically, meet ad requirements, reduce rejections, improve performance, and save you a ton of time. Now, let's talk about stopping wasted ad spend. Did you know that Google Merchant Center can cache sold inventory for up to 45 days? Here's the hidden money drain you might not know about. The average dealership has around 150 cars in inventory. They sell about 5% each month. That's 7 to 8 sold cars that's still showing in Google Ads at $3 per click times 50 clicks per dead listings times 8 cars. You are wasting around $1,200 every month on ads for cars you cannot sell. Our car saver find dead VDPs. It forces an update in Google's system and send that ad money to cars you still have in stock. This tool pays for itself in the first month by stopping wasting ad spend. Here's another painful issue. And I know it's a big issue because we have a lot of clients with that issue. So here's another painful issue. When multiple locations operate under the same dealership website, you get duplicated inventory everywhere, Google policy violation, and management headaches that never end. I won't bore you with how many late nights this took us. Let's just say our team aged a few years building this one. Our shared inventory now filters segments directly based on the location. So we solved that issue. We are running with it for a lot of times, and thank God everything is running perfect. Okay, so some of you probably already saw this in our platform. We released it a few weeks ago, and so far people are loving it. So Smart Review Responder is an AI tool that makes managing customer reviews simple. Here's what it does. First, it's analyze the context and sentiment of each review to craft the perfect reply. Second, it personalizes responses to make every interaction feel personal. Third, it adapts the tone and strategy based on the customer sentiment, whether it's positive, neutral, or negative. Fourth, it creates industry-specific response that show your expertise. And fifth, it focuses on resolution, crafting thoughtful replies that solve concerns and improve satisfaction. With one-click AI responses, you can save time, keep your brand consistent, and improve customer engagement across all your locations. And the best part, now it's fully automated with an easy setup process when you can choose how many stars you want us to auto-reply, or maybe all, because we can cover them all. All right, but we didn't stop at that. We also build you a lead generation super weapon. Our location audit scan requires no access to the prospect account. You can audit any dealership listings accuracy instantly without having any access. River, can you expand on that?
Yeah, and I'm sure I've talked to a handful of the people on here. So most agencies have probably used a scan tool on different platforms before. Our goal is to take what's relevant into what we're doing and try to add on and make it the best possible. And we're really focusing dialing in the scan tool for the automotive industry specifically. So yeah, we're not just pulling in the information from like an API. We're actually scanning the live profiles on Google, Apple, and Bing, and showing you what's currently live in real time on those profiles. And then on top of that, we're pulling in more information than the typical scan tools that are only doing name, address, phone number. We're looking at like categories. We're going to be adding department listings, description, business hours, everything that's really relevant that a lot of the local business owners care about. knowing that everything's accurate. So not only are we really dialing it in for auto, I'm going to be continuously adding more auto specific features to be scanning and give a really whole view on what is inconsistent and what an agency or a company can do to optimize the profile instantly. But we're also, the next step that we're going to be doing is adding a fully white label report with live links, so you can actually have your sales team on the go be able to scan any business. It's connected to Google Places, so they can scan any business without having Google access, have a white label report to be sending out to these prospects, and send a live URL link for any customer or prospect to click anytime.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, River. So while the focus today is on listings, I'd like to share an exciting new offering that we are rolling out for any clients running Google Ads. Since early 2025, we set out to build the most advanced and comprehensive Google Ads audit tool specific for automotive clients. You can now run a real-time deep scan of your Google Ads and Merchant Center setup, offering lightning quick insights that in the past would take our team up to 30 minutes per account is now completed in under 10 seconds. This isn't just another audit tool that glosses over surface level insights and leaves it up to you to figure out how to prioritize what to fix or even how to fix issues. Our audit goes many levels deep, uncovering optimization opportunities for your automotive clients and shows you what you need to do with color-coded urgency. For example, are you aligning your phone number assets to your store hours? Are you valuing a form fill differently from a store visit? If not, we'll recommend what that dollar value should be. I joined DBA from Google where they had all the data, so I feel right at home working with the impressive amount of data that DBA has. To this point, we've aggregated OEM level Google Ads benchmarks into the audit. So for example, what do other Ford stores value a phone call lead? What's the conversion rate for Performance Max for Chevrolet? In the audit that you'll run, if we find that our OEM benchmark data does not align with your account, we'll let you know and recommend what you should do. Now, if that wasn't enough, back to Trevor to talk about what else we're working on.
Thanks, Justin. Just a couple little things, and I know we're pressed for time, and I want to make sure we get to Q&A for everybody. Some of the heavy lift when it comes to optimizing these profiles is really about the content. And that's where as you start expanding profiles, the need for accurate, relevant content becomes greater. And that's what we're working on now. Our team is, we have it in beta now, where we're actually generating content using AI from existing images that are relevant on the different OEM channels across all different industry verticals. So that's coming. I know we've been talking about the bulk editing at scale. So that's also in our staging server now. We're going deep. Basically, every single field that you can edit manually in Google's UI and fields that aren't in Google's UI will also be in our bulk editor. Now, I know I mentioned this before. We want to start with 10 agencies. River's already booked a bunch of meetings for next week, probably with some of you that are on this call today. And then once we get to that 10, we'll roll out to the next 10. So make sure you reach out to him. Luke's going to post a link in this webinar chat. You probably already have River's cell phone on speed dial because he's your fun guy. But you can also reach out to sales at DBA platform if you have any questions. So Sarah?
Awesome. We have one really, really good question to start with. Anybody who has any questions on anything we talked about today or anything having to do with local search, drop your questions in the Q&A. But Tony asked the question of the hour, which we've been writing articles about. There's mass confusion apparently in the industry. Is cars for sale going away? But wait, isn't cars for sale going away? And boy, it sure seems like it was going to. I don't know who wants to address this one, but there's some story there.
River, you want to go?
Sorry, Justin and I are in the office together. Yeah, I mean, we reached out to all the Google contacts, and they all, kind of gave us the typical Google answer, kind of danced around it. But I will say all three of them did say that none of them have ever heard that. They said that they, based on the developer's article that came out that kind of put everyone into a frenzy. They said that, like they're getting rid of structured data. What does that mean? The way that we're looking at that is they're getting rid of one of the ways that they're ingesting the data. I mean, based on, from our perspective, when we launch cars for sale with them, we have a special cars for sale inventory kind of dashboard where we're submitting all the inventory feeds directly to Google, and that's not structured data. That's like a special access kind of early adopters way that we're connecting it to Google. So there hasn't been any evidence of directly like vehicles for sale is now being deprecated. They said that they're getting rid of structured data and ingesting it that way. So until we get that finalized, yes, this is no longer going to be a thing. We don't really believe that it's going to go away because it's such a valuable asset to the Google profile, and their whole point is to get the most relevant business in front of a consumer looking for a service or a product. So now that Google has the inventory that shows products on a physical dealership closest to that consumer that's looking for that product, why would they stray away from it? It doesn't really make sense to us. So we're still holding on to the fact that there's nothing specifically saying that it is being deprecated. They're just changing the way that they're ingesting the data.
One other thing. So Google, it's not just auto where like what River's saying about for vehicles, but this product, it also works for retail. And so if you go to like a Home Depot or a Lowe's or West Marine, some of the grocery stores that we power inventory to, inventory on profiles has been around for almost 5 years now. So I don't see them dropping it in the auto industry after they've built the infrastructure to do it. But I will say the structured data is what they use to validate a lot of the feed data. So they just have to figure out how they want to validate the feed data that's coming in or come up with a new way to process the data. But it doesn't, again, like River said, no one has, all of our contacts have said so far that there's no plans to deprecate that solution.
I think Justin also got a response to his question to Google about that, where they came back and said, no, there is definitively no plan to deprecate vehicles for sale. And Luke put a link. We have a blog that talks kind of all about what River and Trevor just talked about and all of the sources and where that idea came from and why it may have been misinterpreted is in a link to a blog that Luke just put in the chat. And then we have another question from Anonymous. How does the foot traffic report get data outside of Google from Apple, Bing, etc.? I don't know, Trevor or Lior, if you want to handle that one. How does the foot traffic report, I'm assuming that's talking about the one that Lior just showed in the DBA platform, our foot traffic report. How would it get data outside of Google?
Yeah, so it's not, well, we're just finishing up our Apple Business Connect integration for OAuth, where we're actually going to be pulling in insights data from Apple. So what we're going to do is just take the driving direction request from Apple and layer that into that same report. And you'll see in the table, we list every single listing and profile listing with the amount of driving directions by channel. So whether it's Google or Apple or Facebook coming soon and Bing, when they decide to post their data, we're going to start adding all those data sources to that table, which then we'll visualize on the graphs above.
All right, so Chris has a question. When creating the additional department listings, have there been any issues with being marked duplicate or issues with completing verification with Google? And I think Ryan Sandberg has PTSD from that.
Yeah, so I would say there was issues, but again, like I've said, avoidable, that we do mention in our playbook. But basically, if you following the playbook, we've done quite a bit of locations for this pilot, and we did not have any issues with duplicate locations if you follow the correct steps given. We have not experienced any duplicate location, and these locations have been live for a
you could see
while.
why people would have problems,
Yeah,
because I know I
exactly.
didn't do it myself, but I sat through all the data and the war stories, and I know there was a spot where creating the new listing, when you go to create it, there's like a button or a choice that says, is this this? And it's like, I don't know how to answer that because it is and it isn't. And so then John has hit yes, this is this, and then made a duplicate listing. Ryan has then undone those. I mean, there shouldn't be a problem, but it's a confusing process. So you should not be creating duplicates, but it does happen. And thus the playbook and the process inside the DBA platform. And how about completing verification? Any examples there?
Yeah. So like 95% of the locations we did gave the option for email, and that is the most like seamless and quick way to get these profiles verified. So I mean, as far as email verification goes, there was no problem completing, and video for ones that we had to do video, we were able to get I believe like 95% of those as well verified. I think there's just a couple nuances, obviously, of do's and don'ts in the video, but honestly, like
Well, and
there was issues, but
phone was a problem because the phone number listed goes to a directory. So it has to be a live person answering the phone. A million things you have to sidestep. So Leor, this question might be for you. This is from Matt asking, all those reports that you were talking about, are those white labelable, and can they be automated to send out?
Yes and yes. So
Yes and yes.
even if some of them are not yet, they're already in the plan of being white label as well. So yes.
Evan asked, this is a good question, Evan. Does each new department listing need to be verified individually?
Yes, they do. But one thing we've noticed is if you're adding 6, we kind of have a process down to where you get the 6, you get the 6 emails, and then you get the 6 codes, but they do have to be verified individually. Correct.
Yeah, and in fact, Ryan has a tip in the playbook about where to stop when you're creating them all. Create them all to a certain point, and then you're going to take them through verification all together, and then you're going to optimize them after. So it's like, so you're not putting things through 3 weeks apart. And so he's kind of getting it down to a science for you.
Ryan, here, question for you. If everybody followed your playbook and it was email verification, how much time would it take to verify 8 brand new listings, do you think?
Very quick, same day. If the dealer can get you the domain and get you the email codes back, it's pretty quick email verification.
Under an hour?
Yeah. You could if you can just hop on a meeting with the dealer and you shoot off the codes get sent within a minute, and then you can knock all of them out at once, which we have experience in the pilot as well.
Yeah, so that's pretty quick, and you can have immediately 25% increase in driving directions and the reports to show that you did that. So then Chris has a question. Also, I missed the first 20 minutes or so if you guys could just start over now. No, I'm just kidding. So he says, forgive me if I'm repeating. For Apple Maps, are you able to edit like you have ownership access of the listing without ownership access? Or is the way that you're attaining access to Apple Maps?
Yeah, Apple. We're very excited about Apple. We're going to have a whole separate webinar on Apple. The short answer to that is you will be able to edit directly inside of DBA platform, just like you would directly on an Apple Maps profile. You'll also be able to create and verify locations at scale, unlike with Google. So you won't have to manually verify every individual location. And we're working on the playbook for that right now as well. So yeah, more to come for Apple.
Okay,
Chris?
and as always, if you guys have more questions, Luke is going to drop the link to the private Facebook group, and we will, if you click that link down and you want to get in, we'll let you in, and you can ask more questions of our expert team there. That's a great resource for you if you have individual concerns or just general questions. Use the private Facebook group. Any of our expert panel have anything that you want to sum up with before we go? John, you're so quiet.
More good things are coming, that's for sure.
Oh my gosh,
This
Leor
webinar is too short.
I know it is too short. And the things that he glazed over today, I mean, each of them could have had their own really 20-minute explanation for the problem that they solve. And, our goal is to create a one-stop shop where, now we identify problems before your clients and your locations find them, right? Which is a nightmare. So we're identifying those for you. We're fixing the ones that we can fix. We're showing you how to fix the ones that we can't fix for you, that you need to fix. And then we're scoring everything for you so you can be tip-top, shape across all your listings, your ads, everything. And we just want to partner with all of you to keep coming out with, whenever I bring Leor a problem that I've heard from a client, he goes, oh, here's what we'll do. Right. And he wakes up the next morning and he starts building it. And that's where we want to be. These environments are changing every day. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. All I know is that this is the team that can solve those problems and automate it at scale for you.
Just one last sentence. I want to emphasize something that we didn't cover is all the audits, the reports, the features we talked about, all of them have bulk option. For you to do it quickly over all of the accounts you want, you will get the report with the links, like everything organized. We missed that part, but this is a big part. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of utility here. So get into the beta, get with River. He can explain how you can use these products, how you can be a part of our tests and help build out the utility that's going to make your job easier so that you can prove your value to your locations.
And I think that it's important, one thing before we end this, we get lost in, all these new terms where dealerships care about one thing: selling cars, pushing more ROs through their fixed operations department. And we get lost in these new words like KPIs versus the olden days of them being called results. Now we want to look at impressions and clicks and all these different things that everybody's spending and investing all this money on. There's nothing more important than what this whole entire product is providing, which is getting somebody to get into an automotive, into some sort of transportation and go to the dealership. It's the dealership's job at that point to do what they do. And that's what this is going to do. It's increasing the amount of human beings driving to the brick and mortar location, which I think is most important to a dealer.
All right. Thank you guys for being here. Join us next month. I think August, end of last Thursday in August, we'll have another webinar for you. We'll be, bringing up new topics, trying to solve all the problems in local SEO to bring more customers through your location's doors. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you, panel.
Thank you, everybody.